Look, this isn't just another rocket launch. Seriously, what you're looking at right here, it's basically a 23-ton prayer. I mean, think about it. It's this huge gamble from a country that is absolutely terrified of being left behind in this new space race. So, yeah, let's get into it.
So, you've got to be asking, right? After two failures, two massive public explosions, why on earth would they try a third time? Well, it's because this thing is carrying way more than just satellites. It's carrying the hopes and dreams of a whole nation, a nation that's desperate to prove it can still innovate. The pressure is just immense. So why risk it all again? That's the real question.
All right, so let's set the scene. Imagine this. We're at Spaceport Kii in Wakayama. It's way down on the southern tip of Japan's main island, and the view is just incredible. You've got the sleek, high-tech rocket just sitting there perched on a cliff with the massive Pacific Ocean stretching out behind it. It's a stunning image, and you better believe the entire country is glued to their screens just watching. Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks. The rocket itself is called Kairos, and it's actually pretty small, only about 18 meters tall, which is not huge for a rocket. And the company, Space One, get this, it's not some big, slow government agency. Nope. It's a private startup, backed by big names you've probably heard of like Canon and Shimizu Corporation. And their goal? It sounds simple, but it's a huge deal to become the very first private company in Japan to successfully launch a satellite into orbit.
And this is the part I really love. This is not just some sterile corporate event. No way. Down on the ground, you've got over 700 local people who've all come out to watch. They're cheering, they're nervous, you can feel the energy. For them, this isn't just something happening in their town, it feels like it's happening for them. It's deeply personal.
Now, to really get why everyone is holding their breath, we've got to look at the backstory, because this is not a story of easy wins. Oh no, this is a story of repeated heartbreak, and it fits perfectly into this underdog narrative that honestly is a huge part of Japanese culture. So check this out. The first try, it was back in March 2024. It ended in a spectacular fireball. Just 5 seconds off the launch pad. 5 seconds. Then they tried again later that year. That one made it a little further, about 3 minutes into the flight, before, boom, the self-destruct system kicked in. So let that sink in. 2 launches, 2 total disasters. That's the heavy weight sitting on the shoulders of this third attempt.
So you might be thinking, why? Why keep going after all that? From the outside, it might even look a little crazy. But you have to understand there's a deep cultural reason for this in Japan. It's a proverb, nanakorobi ya oki. It literally means fall down 7 times, get up 8. This isn't just about a business plan. It's a demonstration of this core value of just pure resilience. The idea is you always get up one more time than you get knocked down. You just don't quit. Okay, but don't think for a second this is all about cultural pride and proverbs. No, there is a very smart, very calculated business plan behind all of this. See, Space One isn't trying to be the next SpaceX. They're not building another gigantic cargo ship for space. What they're doing is much cleverer. They're building a fleet of, well, think of them as space delivery trucks. And this really breaks it down perfectly. Think about it this way. SpaceX's Falcon 9, that's like a giant container ship. It's super efficient, super cheap per pound, but you gotta wait for it to fill up, and it leaves when it leaves, on its own schedule. Kairos, on the other hand, is like your dedicated delivery van. It's designed to be quick, nimble. It's an express service for this huge growing market of small satellites where the customers don't want to wait around for months to hitch a ride. It's a brilliant niche they're trying to fill. And believe me, this delivery truck is packed. It's got 5 different satellites crammed inside. There's some from Japanese companies, of course. There's even one from a high school, which is super cool. But the one to really pay attention to is from Taiwan's National Space Center. And yeah, that little detail adds a whole other layer to this story. A bit of geopolitics, a quiet signal about who Japan is working with in the region. But if you zoom out, if you really look at the bigger picture, you start to see that this launch is about so much more than just tech or a business plan. This is, well, it's a kind of rebellion, a quiet but really fierce pushback against the old, slow, bureaucratic Japan Inc. model that many feel has held the country back for like 30 years. I mean, for decades, Japan's space program was JAXA, the government agency, and it's exactly what you'd expect from that old Japan model. State-run, super cautious, and incredibly slow.
Space One is the complete opposite of that. It's private, it's fast, and it's not afraid to fail in public. So for a lot of people, this isn't just about rockets. It's a symbolic fight for the future of Japanese industry. It's a chance to finally break free from the shadow of the lost 30 years. This is what it's really all about. It's a rebellion against this cloud of pessimism that has hung over the country for so long. You have a new generation of engineers, of entrepreneurs, basically shouting, hey, yes, we can still build amazing things. We can still invent the future, and we can do it right here from Japan.
So, what's the real profit loss calculation for the average person watching at home? And trust me, it has nothing to do with Canon's stock price. It's about something way, way more important. We're talking about national pride, about morale. And here's another piece of that cultural puzzle. In Japan, there's a very common saying, sandome no shojiki. It's basically third time's the charm. But it's a bit deeper. It's this belief that the third try is the one that's, well, honest, the one that really shows you what's going to happen. So this isn't just launch number 3. Culturally, it feels like the definitive moment of truth. So when you look at what's really on the line, yeah, the money is there, but that's a tiny piece of it. The psychological stakes are just massive. If this thing succeeds, it's a huge shot in the arm for national morale. It's the rebirth of the Made in Japan brand for a new era. But if it fails, it's another gut punch, another very public humiliation that just reinforces that tired old story that Japan's best days are in the past.
At the end of the day, it really just boils down to this one simple thing. A success gives Japan a whole new story to tell, a story about innovation, about taking big risks, about getting back up again. A failure, well, that just confirms the old story, the one about stagnation. So yeah, this tiny little rocket is literally carrying the weight of a nation's entire story on its back. And all of this leaves us with one last, really tough question to chew on. This whole project, it's all about Japan's deep desire to do things its own way, with its own homegrown technology. But is that obsession with domestic perfection a source of national pride, a real strength? Or is it actually a fatal flaw, a kind of self-imposed isolation that's holding the country back from truly innovating on the global stage? I'm really curious to know what you think.